I woke up at 1:17 a.m. That time will forever be seared in my brain. The first thing I noticed was Becca wasn't in bed with me and that she didn't wake me up. Huh, where's Becca? I ended up getting out of bed to see where she was. The reception had been over by then, and I didn't understand why she wasn't sleeping with me. I was heading downstairs to the living room, thinking she might have fallen asleep on the couch. But when I was walking past my brother's room, I heard the unmistakable sounds of someone having sex. I mentioned before that my brother was good with the ladies, and I didn't think anything about it. I figured he probably hooked up with someone at the reception, and I went downstairs to find Becca. I'm sure you already figured out what I'm about to say. But at the time, I just couldn't imagine how quickly my life was about to change. So, who's brother hooking up with? Must be the maid of honor. Must have been a bridesmaid. Must have been one of Becca's hot young mid-20s friends because, well, who else would it be? When I made it downstairs, I looked everywhere I thought she would be, and it never crossed my mind what I was about to find out. Of course, she wasn't sleeping on the couch or any of the other rooms. I can still remember how much I didn't want to believe what was becoming painfully obvious. There was no way that my wife of 11 hours was doing that to me. I know now that it was stupid, but I made a second circuit around the house just to be sure that she wasn't asleep somewhere in the house. His gut is telling him something's up. But understandably, he does not want to believe it. And that's understandable. I didn't want to believe what all the evidence was telling me, but I ended up going back to my brother's room and stood outside of his door, trying to convince myself that this wasn't happening. It was when I heard Becca's voice that I completely lost my mind. Holy freaking shit. I tried to open his door, but it was locked, and as soon as I tried to open the door, I could hear people scrambling in the room. I'm not sure if it was the residual alcohol or my fury, but I kicked the door open, and until the day I die, I'll never forget the image that was seared into my brain. On the bed was my brother, my wife of less than 12 hours, and her best friend, all naked and watching me in complete shock. Wife of 11 hours, in bed with your bro and the maid of honor, all getting it on. You're telling me the brother couldn't have hooked up with some other chick? Well, he had another chick, and your wife is in there? Talk about pieces of garbage. Your brother, the guy you idolized, your best friend, the guy that you would take a bullet for. That would, you know what I mean? Can't make this shit up. It was too much for my brain to process, and it took a few years and more hours of counseling than I want to admit to even be able to write about this. But I ran into the room and jumped on my brother and gave him the worst beating I ever could have given anyone into my life. To this day, I still don't have a clear memory of what I did, but it was my dad that pulled me off Dan that saved his life. Bro, nobody listening to this, and the tens of thousands of dudes around the world that are listening to this, including me, can blame you at all for giving him an ass whooping. He deserved it. And I might as well go on to say that somebody else definitely deserved something pretty bad happen to, but I can't say it, and you all know what I'm thinking about. But then again, if he did, he'd be in prison. By the time my dad had pulled me out of the room, the entire household was awake from all the shouting. Becca's parents, my parents, and a couple other guests were watching everything that was going on. Becca was hysterical and crying, trying to apologize and say it was a mistake, and she didn't mean to hurt me. What a load of fucking bullshit. It was a mistake. I'm so sorry. That type of thing. And the waterworks. Then he wouldn't have done it. And I don't want to hear about the alcohol. No. And by the way, as I was reading this morning with my coffee, with my cat sitting on my lap, I don't buy for a second that this was just something that just happened. I think Becca and the brother obviously liked each other. There was definitely an attraction there, as if something wasn't going on prior to this. I hope not. But it seems a little suspicious to me that just suddenly like that, you know what I mean? My brother was trying to tell me how sorry he was and he never meant it for it to happen. And my dad was doing his best to keep me from offing my brother. That morning is a part of my memory that's still a little fuzzy. I'm surprised you haven't blocked that out because it's such a traumatic experience. Holy shit, man, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Your brother, your wife. Now, we're not done yet in terms of the betrayal department, guys. We're just getting started here with the drama.